welcome to Eat Your Backyard, my YouTube channel where I talk about all kinds of things, subtropical, tropical, edible, not edible. You know, things in my yard, things that I'm into. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about, again, a very popular subject, the Draceana. Okay, so this is a tree-formed Draceana, and I want to give you a good look at this as an example of what you can do to a Draceana. I mean, you can make it into a tree. It's amazing. This took me, I don't know, maybe it's 10 years old, maybe a little older. How long it took to get it to this state? Maybe it's 10 to 15 years old, but a lot of trimming. When I planted it, it was about this size. See? But it was a tall one. It was one of these branches from another Draceana that had just grown up. You'll see they just grow up straight. Like this is a good example. I've got one I'm working on tree forming here. See, it just kind of they grow up real straight. And then they usually kind of tilt at the top. That's when I generally trim them up there and let this, it'll almost always break into 3 or 4 subsprouts that make a beautiful tree canopy. So they actually lend themselves to tree forming beautifully. This is a smaller example on a Draceana, on a Song of India Draceana. You can see I topped off these as well, and now you get those sprouts are generated. And this one, it's not as hardy as this one, the Song of Jamaica Draceana, but yeah, some of them only sprouted one. They only sprouted one offshoot. Right. Isn't that incredible? Isn't that incredible? I mean, what a beautiful variegated situation there. And then you can see on the Song of Jamaica, very similar kind of idea in the variegation, but just darker green and much more hardy. So all of these grow up to, gosh, that's got to be 7 feet tall. They started to do that. They get this thing where the top starts to come over, and then I just trim it so it only has straight parts there, and it almost always does that. That's exactly what I've done. Now this one I decided to multi-trunk, which is, who knows, maybe I'll back out of that later. Can always get rid of one. But that's exactly what I did on this thing, is that I just continued to trim it and trim it and trim it. And on this one I decided to shape it so that it had multi-trunk at about that level. Now I regret that. And you know why I regret that? Well, look right there. That's a sprinkler. Sound effects. Well, that sprinkler now hits this thing, so it creates a blocking force, and it's just kind of messy. I'm revitalizing my backyard currently, the grass, and it's doing very well, growing back in now after being neglected for years. Every factor's been fixed, but the irrigation is still a little bit so-so due to this. But anyway, the Draceana is super cool. Now, once they get to a certain age, they do, I'm going to get in the shade so we're not, hopefully you can see what I'm talking about. They do that flower thing that I started the video with. They sprout these really cool, ooh, bees by my hand. All right. They sprout these really cool kind of reddish, purplish flowers. And then they bloom. And that's what they look like. Flowers look like when they're blooming. And you see the whole, there's bees flying all around this thing. It's so cool. Man, that's so great to see, by the way. It's another good example of, how to really mold your yard. You need bees if you're going to have an edible backyard. If you're going to eat your backyard, you need bees. And when I first moved in to this particular house, and my neighbor had put down a lot of insect killer and stuff, and there were hardly any insects around, and luckily that's changed. But ladybugs, bees, these are all things you need in your yard because they serve very, very useful purposes that you can't really do without easily. So when you have things like this is not an edible in any way, but this kind of decorative subtropical shrub, really, tree, giant shrub, is draws in those bees, which you need for all the other things. Look up here. A million baby mangoes that have set, all pollinated. It's just part of what you need. So yeah, Draceana, super cool. Tree former Draceana. I mean, why not? Get crazy. Let your hair down. What do you got to lose? Well, thank you for watching Eat Your Backyard, and I hope you come back and watch more. I hope you subscribe. Go ahead and subscribe. Just go ahead, press the button, and give me a thumbs up. And I'll see you in the next video. Hey, good luck. Take care. Thanks for watching Eat Your Backyard.